So Railroad University campus is located on the traditional lands of the Lackawanna-speaking people, known as the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. So it's really with deep gratitude that we all come together, Indigenous and non-Indigenous folks, to work, learn, play, study all together. And I like to add, to create a better world when we all collaborate. So if you know the Indigenous lands you're joining us from, feel free to use the chat to introduce them as well. And today we're here to talk about, I'll just try to find my next slide, the Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies. I laugh about this one because it's a mouthful for a French speaker like myself. So I know the program office will do such a good job at telling you about the program. So we have Matthew Heinz. If you want to wave at us, I think we can see you here. Matthew is joining us today as the program head of the program, of the master. We also have Willem. Sorry, Willem, I won't go into your last name because it's still a bit tricky, but thank you for being here. Myself, I'm Nancy Prévost-Maurice, education specialist. So I tour around Canada to talk about our amazing programs at Railroads. We also have Daria, if you want to wave, that is from the program office. We have Rosie, hello. I hope you can see them all. You can use the gallery view if you'd like. We have Lauren, hello Lauren. And we also have Carol, the school manager, hello. So when we tell you that at Railroad you feel supported and you're just not a number, now you have the proof because all the team is here. And also I should mention that we have two folks from the enrollment services. So we have Niha and we have Andrea. So those amazing people are here all the way through your journey to applying to Railroad, and they will be adding some links for us today in the chat. And I will make sure to share all those links as we send you the recording in a few days. So we'll go to the next slide. What do we talk about today? So of course, we'll talk about the program. I'll start with a brief overview of Railroad University. We'll talk about the program, who is that for, what does it mean to do a Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies. Then I'll review a bit of the admission and application process, and then we'll answer any question you might have. So that's the plan for today. I'll move to the next slide. And thank you. Yeah, people are already presenting themselves in the chat and adding links, so that's perfect. And you might be sitting here and thinking, why should I apply to Railroads University? I am actually doing an event in Banff, and we're getting so many questions. People are like, but why Railroads? And I love to use those bullet points here because it's really true. Like we say we're different by design, but we hope that today you will know why. Maybe many institutions say the same, but we're really different. So we see life as a qualification. What does that mean is throughout your process as you apply and as a student and even as a grad, like really we see the full picture of who you are. So when you apply, for example, we have what we call flexible admission, and I'll talk about it at the end. But we see your volunteer experience, your work experience, and your education all at once. So we really bring the full you, if I can say, into the program, into a cohort or into a class that you're in. Prof who know your name, again, talking with many alumni right now over the course of the past few days at the event, people are always amazed how at Railroad you build relationship with your program office, with your instructors, with your program head, with your cohort. So you're not a number at Railroad. We have small cohort model, and this is for a reason. So we want you to really feel a part of it, and we want you to, to feel seen and heard in your program. Learning based on life, what you will hear and learn in the classroom, it's all real stuff. So you will work a lot of hands-on, project-based learning, apply learning, as we say. And I won't go too far in this because I know that the program office will do a better job of me. But it's really what you learn here, like when we say at Railroad, really matter out there. So what you learn is not just theories, it's really practical things that you will be able to apply in your professional and personal life. Connections for Life, we have a beautiful network of thousands of alumni across the world, all connected. So the people you'll meet in your cohort in different programs, because this specific program is not cohort-based, but you'll meet people in many courses. So those people will become maybe mentors, friends, people you follow on LinkedIn. And we were built differently. So I like to say this one, because since day one in 1995, we were an online institution. So we have been teaching online, offering courses online for 30 years now. So it's very impressive. It's not something we had to do to pivot like 5 years ago. It's really something since day one. So all the resources, platforms, everything is built in a way that you can learn across the world. You can be anywhere in the world and do the programs. And Daria, if I can have the next slide, I think I have a video there, but I'm having some technical issues, so I'm not sure you'll be able to share the sound. So I might skip that, but I'll make sure to send everyone the video so you can have a look, because I didn't test the sound. We're having some connection issue, but this is a quick video I'll send you all. It's about 1.5 minutes, and it just shows you the beauty of campus. Of course, this master, you can do it fully online, so you might never come to Victoria, BC, but if you pick some courses and you come for a residency, for example, you'll experience our 565 acres of land at Railroads. So I'll take the next slide. And before I pass it over to Matthew to review the content of the program, it's very important for us to mention that we are a changemaker campus. So that Ashoka U accreditation, you can Google that after the session, but it's really about innovation, social science, addressing world problems. So only a few institutions in North America has that accreditation. So we're super proud of it. And again, it's just to show you an extra step that we're doing as a post-secondary institution to really distinct ourselves from others. And I like that we were building the session, and we say this program that we call MAZE courses emphasize the ability to create lasting positive change in student personal and professional lives. And I think it's all about Railroad and it's all about the program. So I will pass it over to Matthew now for more information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for that introduction. I will tell you about, maybe we can go on to the next slide. Yes. So interdisciplinary studies, you are here because you are interested in a graduate program that focuses on interdisciplinary studies. So what does that mean? It really means that you are interested in studying a particular topic that might be a personal issue of passion or of life experience. It might be a professional work problem. It might be a social or complex global problem. And you have determined that one discipline or one particular area of emphasis simply isn't enough to accommodate all the perspectives that are needed to study that topic. And therefore, you are interested in interdisciplinary studies. At Railroads, we offer a graduate certificate, a graduate diploma, and a Master of Arts in interdisciplinary studies. And what's important to know is that sometimes students are not sure if they're ready for a master's degree. Maybe you've been out of formal schooling for years, maybe decades. Maybe you just want to try out how Railroads education will work for you. One way of starting that would be to enroll in the graduate certificate first or the graduate diploma. Both of those are part of the MA in interdisciplinary studies. So if you start there, you can ladder those into your final master's degree. Interdisciplinary studies in general can be a great fit for knowledge areas that require individualized approaches. Many of our students hold very specific knowledge that could be specific professional knowledge. Maybe you have been working in consulting, in sustainability and management. Maybe you've been working for a nonprofit. Maybe you're interested in changing your particular career path. Maybe you have aspects of particular cultural knowledge that you seek to integrate into your studies. Maybe your field of study hasn't been formally labeled yet, and maybe you are on the brink of doing something that's very specific to your community or your professional field. So we are strong in working with students who are creative thinkers, who are independently minded, and who are interested in finding new solutions for traditional challenges. Our students are, perhaps not surprising, and I would imagine that some of you who are listening to this presentation today are often government employees, employees for nonprofits or non-governmental organizations, educators at all levels, from daycare teachers to professional teachers in the K-12 system, to private school teachers, to college instructors and university instructors, as well as trainers and consultants. Social services professionals, military personnel, private consultants, healthcare employees, almost all of them are lifelong learners. And our students, generally speaking, bring their work and life experience directly into their studies. That also applies to the instructors you would be meeting here. Most of our faculty are scholar practitioners or practitioner scholars, meaning that they not only hold the academic credentials, but they're also actively involved in their professional sphere of practice. So what do MACE students want? We base this on both the original program design, which was created in response to what students said they wanted, as well as our continuing surveys of current and graduating students. Basically, you can create an individualized academic schedule from 8 different fields of study. That's 8 different fields of study because those are the main areas of academic concentration across Royal Roads University. We will build a personal schedule with you. And we have, as you can see, a great staff team. And you have Willem, who is your program advisor, to help you figure out which areas would best work for your particular career and educational path. They tend to want to build diverse networks, and they tend to, most of all, bring their own research topic. Whether you decide to pursue a thesis or a research paper or a course-based program, that research area of interest typically drives a MACE student's passion throughout the program.
And Matthew, if I may, I know that sometimes when we meet with prospect or people in the room here, people are like, yeah, what do I want? Or I don't quite know at the beginning where I want to go, right? It's like, oh, I want to do the program, but I'm not quite sure. So I think your office can help with that, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Is that yes, sir? Right. Yeah. Okay, so we have
We can do it together.
we can do it together. We have many options to start and begin and complete a MACE degree. So, for example, you could start with a certificate, a diploma. You can also start, and maybe Nancy, this is what you were referring to. You can also start with an individual course, like one of our required core courses, which one can take as a general studies student and then bring it to the program later on. But basically, the core of the MACE degree are 3 required courses: INDS 500, 505, and 510, which are academic writing and critical thinking, social science theory, and social science research methods. So the first option for completing this degree is to complete it entirely online. Of course, that works particularly well for students who can't travel, who can't come to Royal Roads for whatever reason. And it's a very popular option. The majority of our students complete the program online. You can choose up to 9 elective courses from a wide selection of courses across the university. A second option is to include a residency and so combine a program between 1 or perhaps 2 residencies on campus plus online courses. The availability of residencies is very much a function of the kinds of programs at Royal Roads that offer residencies. So typically courses that are offered in residency format are typically not offered online, and vice versa. And then the third option is to complete online courses and complete either a research paper or a master's thesis.
Yeah, and in total it's 36 credits, right?
Thank you.
So that means 27 credits for electives, and you can decide how to fill that in. With regards to the residency, there's one additional notice. Because of the pandemic, now we have 2 versions of residency courses: the virtual or remote residency that you attend behind your computer at home or on your own location, or the in-person on-campus full-on in-person residency. So those 2 options we have. But how about, this is the basic overview of the program. And I think the best way to illustrate you and to make it real for you actually is to have a look at the program guide. And I'm going to share my screen. And I think, Niha, you've put the link already in the chat. So if you find the link there, so this is basically the guide that is, I'm assuming you're seeing a big green box here. Is that
Yes,
okay?
it's good now. Thank you.
Perfect. I can think, yeah. So this is the start of the guide. And like what Matthew said, is there are 3 required courses, right? First 2, the academic writing and the critical thinking course, and the theory of interdisciplinarity course, the 500 and the 505. They must be taken before you proceed with any electives, because they're the framework of the program that helps you with skill building in writing, critical thinking. It helps you with the social science theories from all the different fields that are the understanding of theory, right, in a graduate program. So those 2 courses you take first, and then you can decide to start including your electives. The 3rd required course, INDS 510, can be taken later, but not past the half point in the program, because 510 is about research methods. So it helps give you a toolkit, so to say, of research methodology. And I think the course primarily focuses on the evaluation of research. So the sooner you have the course in your program, the more you have in your back pocket to understand where, journal articles, peer review articles are writing about. Maybe they made a mistake, or not a mistake, they were a little short in there. So you have more understanding of criticizing and taking your critical point. So in this guide, there are basically 3 versions of approaching this. You can either go through the area of studies, and these are the 8 areas of studies that Matthew mentioned, right? So let's say you're interested in leadership studies, and then it shows you here what options you have. Now, for example, let's say the residency, right? There is the Lead 526, which is one of the 3 courses of the leadership residency. So when you look at this little description, you see co-requisites. Those 2 courses must be taken together, and actually all together, they lead to a graduate certificate in leadership. So not only can you start your MA program and work towards your MA, you can along the way embed credentials that you can, so to say, directly cash out after you've completed the 3 courses, put on your resume, and make it very attractive for your employer to, maybe they can even support you, but also to apply for the next internal job, for example. So that is kind of what you're seeing with the guide. So the 8 areas of studies, you don't have to choose all 8 within interdisciplinary studies program. I think we at least wanted 2 different fields of study represented. When you do a research, though, then you bring it in yourself, but you will automatically be looking for different areas of study. Now, the second way of looking is the level of study, and so we have some basic conditions about how many introductory and how many advanced courses you can take. Don't want to go in too deep, but that's all described here. And then this is then that former option 2 that Matthew showed you on the measuring cup slide, as somebody referred to it. There you have the fully online courses, so you never set foot on campus, which actually would be a shame, because or it would be too bad, because it is gorgeous here, especially in the summer, even in the winter. It's the wet coast after all. You have virtual residencies, right? So then you get some options here if you want to still have this experience behind your computer with a cohort. And then, of course, you also have the in-person residency. So this is basically, in a nutshell, what the guide will show you. From here on, it's really up to you. And together with our program office, we help you uncover courses that you might not imagine, right? For example, in certain areas of study, let's say tourism and hospitality, you might not be interested in it. But if you look in here, there's a really interesting course around social entrepreneurship. And that course is taught by a scholar practitioner. Matthew mentioned, right, the people who have the credential but also have a full-on engagement in the field. So they're working, they're applying the work, and they're teaching. Oh, that could be a very interesting course. Even though you might not be immediately interested in it, it's still there. So I would say, don't hold back. In the guide, browse around a bit, and once you apply, then our office will send you a Word document, and in that Word document, we'll ask you to choose one of the 3 options, right? So the course-based, the research-based, which can be divided between the paper or the thesis. I think, Nancy, I'm going to leave it there, because then we have some time for questions, and I also don't want to overload you with large amounts of information.
With the information, true. I know a question I got in the chat is, how many courses per discipline or per area of study would you take? Did you say that already?
No, that is actually, I can tell you that. So there we allow 5 to 6 courses in one area of study. So 5 courses is kind of the maximum we're working with right now. Because if you have 9 electives and you do 5, let's say 5 in environment, then you have still a few 4 courses left to include a business perspective, to include a tourism perspective. But if you want more than 5 courses from environment, and we do have them, then you have to ask yourself the question, maybe I should be moving to another great program, or else the MA in environmental practice, for example. So there's alternatives. But with our program, we really expect you to take several areas so that you have an individualized program with multiple perspectives on your own topic. And maybe I may also promote the research paper, which is a relatively new course. And the research paper is the INDS 620. Is that okay? I share that?
Absolutely.
And I'll just show you on the guide here. So if you would go to the areas of study and you go to interdisciplinary, you see a lot of great courses that we ourselves have developed. Matthew actually have developed. These are the 3 required courses. Then we have some electives, so you don't have to take those. Those are electives you can include, but they're fantastic. Special note to misinformation in society that started last week is, for example, taught by our CRC research chat in polarization. It's a great course. But here on the bottom, you see the 2 research courses. So have a look here. So for example, the paper, that will then allow you to include 7 elective courses. But then at the end, and I would almost call it kind of a capstone, but you take the theories that you learn, you take your own topic, you don't do primary research, you don't go out in the field gathering data yourself, you do desk research or you work with existing data, and that gives you a chance to really tie your program together. And a lot of students find it very interesting because, and I think Matthew, you can speak more to that because you're the instructor of the course, but you work with an experienced researcher who guides you through the research process, which is tremendous, I think.
And it's quite an attractive option to students who don't want to spend the time or energy or resources to complete a formal master's thesis because it's not as relevant to their everyday work or their career path, but they still want to establish their research credential. So you can do that. And typically, when I've been teaching the course, as well as when colleagues have taught it, the student really ends up with a 6,000 word or more research paper that they can use. So students have generated applied reports that have been instrumental in their workplace. They can choose to disseminate those if they wish or not. They can use that time and research energy to really get down to analyze a topic that's relevant to their workplace. So it's a very helpful option for sure.
Thank you for answering that. That was another question I got in the chat. What's the difference between the 2? So I love that. And someone is asking me, that's a great question too. I think you touch on it a little bit, Willem, saying like, if I do 3 courses of one, like leadership, one topic, then I can get a graduate certificate. Someone is asking, and I know you have a lot of experience, did it happen that a student fall in love, let's say with environmental studies, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do MAIS, now I just want to do my full master in it. Is there like that kind of collaboration between programs? How does that work?
Yeah, the masters in environmental practice, that would be the best example. It depends a bit on their own regulations. The MAIS program is, in the sense of what is possible, the most flexible. I mean, once you're in a course, you're not flexible. Courses are 10 weeks. You start the course, you have units. It's very hands-on. So flexibility there isn't really, you're in the program for the course and there's no flexibility there. But once you have finished the course, there's most flexibility in the MAIS program to bring pieces in and out.
So to answer that, just to elaborate on that a little bit, if you are not sure if you're seeking flexibility, if you start with MAIS, then you cannot transfer into another program. You will have to apply for admission to that program. And unless the courses in MAIS that you took happen to align with an elective in that program, those credits wouldn't count. If you flip that though, and this is where our flexibility comes in, if you start in another program and you decide that it is too narrow for you, you can bring those credits into MAIS. Again, this is what makes MAIS the more flexible option.
I've only experienced that from other programs coming into our program. And not only within the university, but also from outside the university. Because we have another another unique selling point, I would say, is that we allow up to 12 credits to be brought in externally from other universities. There's some basic conditions, right? So the course has to be a graduate level course. It has to be for a reputable institution. It has to fit the MACE program, which is a social science basis, right? But let's say you started a program elsewhere at UVic, for example, and you did a program there around, I don't know, anything. I can't come up with an example, but you have like 7 courses complete and you don't want to go back. We can look at those transcripts, and if they're not older than seven years, then I believe that might work to bring those transfer credits in.
So, for example, we've had students who have come to MACE, say with some very specialized credits, say in gerontology or in public health, or well, let's just go with those 2. And they've decided that they really want a broader program, and so we are able to bring those credits in and have them counted toward MACE. Another unique aspect of the MACE program, and that applies actually to most Royal Roads programs that have a thesis option, is that we will help you recruit a thesis supervisor externally if we don't have the internal research expertise available to guide your topic. And that's pretty rare in the world of post-secondary research.
I have a thumbs up here from the person asking the question, so that's perfect. Yeah, and I think to build on what you mentioned, Willem, about and Matt too, you touch on it too, about career, looking at your career and stuff. Like, I hear that all the time, and I see it more and more on job description, that interdisciplinary thinking or mind, it's really looked at after, I think, now by employers compared to maybe 5 or 10 years ago. People are looking for people knowing a lot, not a lot, but a bit on everything, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Broad, yeah.
And to that question in the chat, as Willem said, the graduate courses, it doesn't matter if they are from Canadian universities or the United States or anywhere in the world, as long as they are from a recognized institution that in a US context, that would mean typically accreditation. Canada doesn't have quite the equivalent process. So we'd have, those courses are assessed on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, Nancy, the best thing would be if I had, and I don't have it, I apologize, an example schedule, what it could look like, right? But I can work with you if you have specific questions. Just later on, you have a slide, Nancy, around testimonials, right? And you'll, for example, find one person in there who she did an indigenous focused study on the relation between northern communities in Canada and polar bears. So that's one of those interdisciplinary studies topics that you have the indigenous perspectives, ways of knowing, you have environmental communication, you have community relations, you have a little bit of ecology and the relation to nature. So you have 4 or 5 topics right there that we can all help you with, that you can kind of break together your own program. And I think that is fantastic, because you can't, I don't know where you can do it. It's rare.
It is rare.
And there's one more thing, and then I'm going to stop talking about it. But we also have a directed studies. Yes. And that means that if there is a topic that you really want to take and we do not have a ready to go course about it, then we could potentially design that course together with you, and Matthew will work with you on that course. And if you'd like to speak more to that.
Yes, and it's essentially a reading course. So it's a guided immersion in the literature on a particular topic. It is highly recommended for students who are pursuing the research paper or the thesis path, because it allows you to really familiarize yourself with the scholarly and academic literature on a given topic. And typically, this is where a student can really specialize, right? So, for example, we've had students complete directed studies in ethnobotany, on emotional intelligence, on LGBTQ issues, on oral tradition. I could go on. And so the beauty of that is that we will find a supervisor who also has academic expertise in that area, so that your reading is truly guided into a successful trajectory.
And And just for your reference, if you go to the guide and you're under area of study, right, and you are going to interdisciplinary, then you find it right here, INDS 517, directed studies. And there's a little calendar description here that describes what the course is about. So browse around here if you like to know more.
I guess we'll keep going with our slides. I think, yeah, as we touched on at the beginning too, if Matthew, you want to talk about the grad certificate, I think we have a grad diploma where people can start and then go to the master after.
Yes, we also have a chat question I just wanted to address. That's because it's an interesting question. One participant is asking whether our program enables students to completely change their job area. And the answer to that is yes and no, because our program works best for students who can combine their professional expertise with their studies. It is difficult to make a complete transition. So, for example, if someone's area of expertise lies in an area that is not taught at Royal Roads, such as, say, animal science or botany or music, then coming to Royal Roads and taking a completely new degree, if all of those subject areas are new to you, it would be difficult for you afterwards to be successful in laddering into a new career path. So ideally, you find some commonality there. And for example, with all of those subject areas, students have successfully made those linkages, but you have to be very explicit. So maybe you're no longer studying music, but now you're studying music education or music management or nonprofits involving music, right? Those are areas that with our social science emphasis, Roy Rose is well qualified to teach in. And then you can combine those issues. But coming from something that's completely unrelated and then using the MA Interdisciplinary Studies to break into a career is probably more difficult. I would actually suggest if that's your setting, then you're likely in a better position to choose a traditional Royal Roads program that offers you more disciplinary expertise in order for you to be more competitive once you leave the program. But again, those are the kind of conversations that Willem is great at guiding, and I'm also here as a resource, and we help you explore your options. We're really here to help you figure out what works best for you. That's our job, and that's also our passion. In terms of the graduate certificate, thank you, Nancy, for reminding me about those. The 9 credits in the core course that we described, you can apply for admission directly to that graduate certificate. You can complete it. If you can graduate with that certificate, or if you decide, oh, this program really is for me and I want more, then you can ladder that directly into your either the diploma or your full master's degree. Similarly, the graduate diploma consists basically of the certificate and then 3 electives, 3 courses of your choice.
So we spoke previously about the embedded credentials, right? And this slide is about that. The options you have, for example, we have project management, right? So you can include, and it says there's about 30 certificates on the Railroad's website that could potentially become part of the MA program. The 4 that we included here is because they're quite common. Project management, right? So affiliation with the public PMI, the project management institution, become a PMP. They qualify for accredited hours of education. So for example, those are 3 courses, and I can show you on the guide, page GMN 500, 501, 542. It's 3 courses in a row. And what is nice about those graduate certificates is that, and we will speak about that later, but as a MACE student, there are certain characteristics, right, that come with the program. The flexibility is the one part, your own choice and path is the other, but also that you jumping in and out of programs and cohorts, and including a graduate certificate gives you a chance to become part of a 3-course program. And that can be nice because you get to work together with people and maybe you see them again later. Maybe they're also MA students. But these are 4 of the most common options here. So project management, right? The change management, also very popular. These 2 are actually with our professional continuing studies department side of the university. So they're a bit more applied in that sense. And then there's a science policy of climate change, which is basically the science. So very, very environmental science focused graduate certificate. I believe, Nancy, you have some experience in that program, or was it the climate action leadership? Yeah. So, and then we have people and culture, and there's also a designation with that. So let's say the ultimate route, I believe, is start the MA first, because you get a lot out of the first 2 program credit courses. INDS 505 Academic and Critical Thinking, 4-credit course, gives you a lot. It's a fantastic course. We have a great instructor. It's a background in comparative literature, so really understands how to write for different audiences, which is very helpful in an interdisciplinary program. But then the second course, the connection to theory, and then kind of take that as a framework and then dip in and out of other areas. But you could do it the other way around. Let's say you have a project management certificate complete, then you can come to us and we can integrate it into the MACE program afterwards and transfer the credits over. Yeah, so we've done this slide a bit early, I realize.
We love that. We're being creative as we go.
I believe this could be, would you like to do that, Nancy, or should I, or have you? I haven't thought
It's
about
up
that
to
yet.
all of us. Yeah, totally. I think you both talk so well about it, and some people in the chat are telling me too, oh, I'm hesitating, but now maybe I'm jumping in. So thank you everyone for the great level of engagement. But yeah, I think we all doubt ourselves. Like I did a master, I felt like an imposter at the beginning until I met with the program office and other students. And then I realized, yes, we're more ready than we think. It's just we need that first kind of kick, or like, yeah, the passion leads us there. But I guess your personal readiness, I love what we put on the slide, like to be curious, committed to learning. I love when I started my program, one instructor at Railroad said, we don't come to graduate studies to have A's and know everything. We come as a beginner, right? And we're here to learn and learn all together. So I think maybe that can remove a bit of pressure from us. The resilience for the challenge of individual and group work. And I think you talked about it already. The teamwork is amazing at Railroad. And depending on the course you take, sometimes you'll work with people from across the world, and then you build that knowledge of how can I be a good team member? But when things are hard in my life, how can I rely on others to help me out? And this is skills that you will keep with you as you grow in your career. Open to diverse ways of thinking and working, for sure. And then the practical preparation, and maybe both of you can talk about it. Of course, before you jump into a master, we recommend talk to your family and friends, and maybe even with your boss, and see how flexible or how you can get support around you to get through it. Because it's a few years of your life, but I haven't met any alumni that say, oh, I shouldn't have done it. Everybody is really like, wow, I'm so glad I got my graduate level degree, at Railroad. So I don't know if you want to add to this.
Yeah, generally speaking, most of our students are working professionals. They also tend to juggle family responsibilities, whether that's raising children or assisting raising other family members or helping with elder care. How do they do it? Generally speaking, our students take 1 course at a time, unless it's a residency format, and then it's very compact for 3 weeks, basically full-time. But again, the norm is 1 course at a time. Typically, we say budget about 10 to 15 hours a week for reading and working. If there's a group project or a team project, time to allocate to consult with your team members, completing assignments. If you're really uncertain about whether you have the capacity to take on a graduate program, I would recommend starting with taking one of our core courses that's available as a general studies course, in particular the academic writing and critical thinking course, and see how you do. Quite a few of our students start that way, and they find, oh, absolutely, I can do this. The work that I've done throughout my my lifespan has prepared me quite well. And again, as Nancy said, it should be challenging, because that's why students select graduate education, right? They want to learn more. So they want to improve, which means no one should enter a graduate program thinking that they can already ace their way through it, because then they probably wouldn't need the graduate program.
It's true, yeah. I'll show you the general studies.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And then, I don't know, we have 43 now. We still have a
Yeah.
few minutes, Nancy, right? I wanted to add two things. I spoke to I alluded to those before. So at Royal University, Heinz, you mentioned you have a cohort-based program, and then you have a kind of non or partial cohort-based program, which is the MACE program. So if you're looking for a program in which you start together and you take the 36 credits, the 12 or the 10 to 15 courses together as a tight-knit group, you're looking for that cohort-based experience, then maybe the MACE program might not be your first option. But if you want to be more independent, you want to gain more flexibility to work with your professional life, but you're also okay to jump into other close-knit cohorts and find your own way to take your space there, then the MACE program is good for you. Because I'll give you one example. There is a course, for example, on global leadership, community development in a global context. That's GBLD 522, if you want to know the code. It's a great course. I read the outline and it looks beautiful. But that course is sitting halfway in the global leadership program. That means that you interact at that point with a close-knit cohort who already know each other. But we have a special relation to the program, and we ask them to, if you would prefer that, to introduce you into the course. But you need to be comfortable with jumping in and out of different cultures, of different settings. Imagine the difference between an MBA program cohort and a global leadership program versus a leadership. They're very different cultures. So that's why it says open to diverse ways of thinking and working. You see, you have to be a bit more flexible in that. So that's what I wanted to mention specifically. And now we're moving towards the application stage, right? So if you want to get ready to apply, we have an intake, of course, and then she will explain it, but coming up in September, which we have still plenty of time to get you going on that. But let's say you're not able to do that. Maybe someone can put the link in the guide, but in the chat, but what you could consider is just trying one of those general studies courses. These courses is a whole list of courses, and the dates aren't perfectly shown, but you could take one of those courses as standalone. So what you do then is you basically take the course as a member of the general audience without the protection, so to say, of a graduate program. You do it on your own initiative. And then once admitted to the MACE program, you can bring those credits in. So this gives you a good chance of, kind of getting a sense of what it is to learn online at Royal University. Nancy, back to you.
Back to me. Thank you. I feel that I can sit here and chat with you all day long, but I'll go through the application process. We'll put the slides back. And yeah, we're looking, I think, for the general studies link, and I'll make sure to share that with the recording. And now you two are so effective that now I want to apply. I'm like, I think I'll do more courses and apply for general studies. So look for my application, please. And as we apply, so yeah, many of you are excited. We're like, okay, we might do it. As Willem said, it can be September 2025, or it can also be September 2026 if you need a little bit more time. We do a rolling admission at Railroad. So even if you apply now, you can already select the 2026 intake, for example. And what we have that is very good at Railroad, we have two types of admission. And this is not something you need to click when you apply. That will be our admission advisor looking at your profile, at all the documents you submit to let you know. But let's say standard admission, like maybe traditional universities, you come with a 4-year undergrad degree, you had that GPA minimum of B+, and you have about 3 years of professional experience. And this is maybe something I forgot to tell you about, is that Railroads was built for working professionals. So people in your class, not necessarily your cohort, but people you'll meet in your courses have years of experience and in many fields. So that's another, I think, really pros of our program, is that people in your classroom will not be, for example, 20 years old, just graduating. There'll be people bringing tons of experience in the real world, if I can say. And if you don't recognize yourself with standard admission, then we do flexible. And I think 50% at least of our students come through flexible admission at Railroads. So it's really based on your skills, your knowledge, your background. So you will kind of show us through a cover letter, a letter of intent, what you have done. So who you are, what are, as I said before, your volunteer experience, your work experience, your education. And of course, you will have to demonstrate that you can kind of perform or be in a higher education setting. But this is for people who do not meet traditional admission requirement. So I'm just looking if I'm not missing anything, and we already talked about it, like you will move from cohort to cohort, but yeah, it can be many people in the flexible admission, right? It can be many profiles.
Yeah, and maybe Matthew, you could speak to that. Just one thing for clarification, we have actually 2 intakes. So the upcoming one is September, and then the next one after that is actually the end of January. But the
Even better. Thank you.
Starting in February. So there's not a whole lot of time to take a general studies credit for the program. And Matthew, maybe you could speak a little bit to the 3 years minimum flexible admission.
Sure. So what we look at when we assess flexible admissions applicants is, how has the work that you have done qualified you to begin graduate level studies. So we look at what kind of responsibilities did you execute? How did your portfolio expand? Perhaps you've moved between positions. That's not a hindrance at all. And if anything, that gives you more breadth and diversity. So it's a very much a holistic, individualized assessment. And don't sell yourself too short, in other words. If you don't have the qualifications for a traditional background because you didn't complete an undergraduate degree, you may have 1 or 2 years of college, you might have 1 or 2 or 3 diplomas or certificates, and 3 or more years of professional experience, and we're glad to look at your application.
And just to add to that, what I always suggest applicants is don't shy away also from including your volunteering experience.
Yes.
Because the transferable skills can be tremendous in the volunteering sphere.
Absolutely.
So it's a holistic picture of who you are and which skills you can bring into the program.
It's true.
Wonderful addition. Thank you both. Yeah. And again, this is not something you have to decide as you apply. We will assess if it's flexible or standard. I know I get that question a lot. We'll go to the next slide. So how to apply, quite simple. You'll go to railroads.ca. You'll find that apply option, apply button. Of course, for Maze, or even we did a webinar, last week about the BASE program, which is part of the same school. Of course, for that program, you will talk with Willem or the team before you apply or as you apply to build that program schedule. We're not letting you on your own, but let's say you want to already kind of move ahead and do your online application, you will pay a small fee of $136.39, and then you will start submitting your documents. So we will ask for official transcript of all other post-secondary institution you attended. We'll ask for a detailed resume. So again, almost like if you're applying for a job, but you will really target that to Railroads University, to a post-secondary institution. Personal statement of intent is actually, that was one of my favorite part of applying, because you get to sit with yourself and look at everything you have done in the past, maybe 5, 10, 20 years, and you build your cover letter to tell the program who you are, tell the admission staff who you are. And then, yeah, you will work with the program, as I mentioned, and you will be asked to send 2 letters of reference, and do not worry, everything is written on the website, and we will guide you through all those steps. But you will be asked to send 2 letters of reference, one from a professional background and one from an academic background, if possible. And again, tons of guidelines on the website for that. So I won't take too long, because I know some of you said that they had to go, so I'm trying to power through the slides here. But all to apply is very easy. And if I can get the next slide, and I'm sorry, there's a guided tour walking next to me, so that's amazing. Good timing. Yeah, so September is the next intake. Thank you, Willem. That's amazing. You have 2 intakes per year, which I forgot about. So if you don't get in for September, for example, and you're already thinking, but I really want to get back to graduate studies, or go back, I shouldn't say go back, start your journey, you can also apply for January already. And you can be accepted, let's say in a month. If all your documents are received, you won't wait until October. You might know right away that you will be accepted for January, and then you can plan your life around it. And I think I have maybe 1 or 2 more. Yeah, testimonials. And this is something I will share with the recording link. We have amazing stories of what the May students and I know I follow a few on LinkedIn, and I'm like, wow, amazed by the work that people do. But here, if you want to read those 2 testimonials, like when you do a degree at Railroad, like you're really changing your life professionally, but also personally. And yeah, again, I've never met an alumni that says, oh no, I wish I didn't do the program. It's always, we learn way more than we anticipated. And thank you for that last slide. Before, a picture of a peacock, because peacock are quite important at Railroad. But someone was asking me about the services we get as a student. So let's say now we're talking about the program, you're a prospect, you become an applicant. But when you get in, it's just to give you a full pictures of all the services you get access to. And as I was discussing in the chat with someone, we have a full team of Indigenous folks as well here to support you. We have some specific events for Indigenous students. And we have, I'm inviting all of you to, we'll have an National Indigenous Day on campus on June 20th. But yeah, you will have international student services, student engagement, some of the courses that you do, you might have a team coach. We have, of course, financial aid and awards where you can get a few, grants and bursaries here and there. We have counseling, career learning and development. You can even do an internship during that program, as we talked about. They will help you see what opportunities are out there. So don't worry, as you get in, you're not left alone. Again, we will guide you through all your journey at Railroads. So thank you for attending. I think the last slide will be the peacock. I know everybody talk about our peacock. I hope you'll see them in person one day. And yeah, I just want to say a big thank you. Maybe you have something to add, Willem and Matthew, but I just want to say a big thank you for everyone for joining us today. And we'll work on those links and recording, and we'll send them your way. But yeah, we really hope to see you in the program soon.
Thank you, everyone. And our whole staff and faculty is ready to assist you if you're interested in learning more about the MACE program.
Thank you.
Thank you.